For our library assignment, I chose the graphic novel Anya's Ghost by Vera Brosgol. The publisher's first second books, it's around 221 pages, and it tells the story of Anya, who is a teenage schoolgirl with all the usual insecurities most girls have: her weight, clothes, friends, etc. She's mostly really embarrassed about her Russian heritage, and because of this, she makes an effort to lose her accent, avoid fatty Russian food, and even tells people her surname is Brown instead of her actual lengthy and complex Russian one. She has one best friend, an Irish girl, but she seems on friendly terms with most people. Dima, who is the only other Russian in her school, doesn't really pal around with a herd of nerds, even though he's really smart. He simply stays by his lonesome. Anya has this crush on a boy named Sean, who's not the leader of the popular kids. He's just a really good looking guy with a good looking girlfriend. These are realistic persons forming a realistic net of relationships, which is really amazing because I could feel myself in Anya's shoes because I've felt that way about a boy before who's really good looking, who has a really nice looking girlfriend, and it was just very relatable. Vera Brosgol's comic really tackles this theme of alienation, where a teenager with a foreign background is trying to fit into American society, and even though we don't, most people aren't from a foreign country and can relate to that, you can still relate to the situation Anya's in because we've all tried fitting in and tried to be something we're not to attend with peer pressure, in a sense. And her comic style is really natural, and her storytelling is flawless. The panels flow perfectly, and it leads to this well paced and very satisfying read. The story also has this really solid story arc that's easily identified. In the first act, which starts on page 1 to, in my opinion, 42, Anya skips school because she doesn't want to deal with her problems, basically, such as having this crush on Sean, who seems to already have a girlfriend, or the fact that she thinks she's overweight, or even the fact that she gets into a fight with her best friend. And because of this, she ends up ditching school and falling down a well, where she finds a human skeleton. That's where this gets interesting because the ghost of the skeleton appears and her name is Emily. And this graphic novel not only focuses on this creepy old ghost, it also talks about Anya, whose self image, with her self image issue and her journey towards accepting herself. And Brosco works hard to make Anya a character who's just it could be very easily, could be weird or strange or unwelcome, but isn't. She's very relatable, and that's what I really enjoy about this story. The second act basically starts on page 43 to 129 after Anya gets rescued. She goes to school and Emily appears to her. Apparently, in her rush to escape from the well, Anya had accidentally put a finger bone in her bag. And Emily couldn't move far from her corpse, so because of the bone with Anya, she can now, I guess, stay with her in a way. Anya only decides to keep the finger bone after Emily basically helped her cheat on a test and spy on her crush Sean. At this point, we find out Emily's real name is Emily Riley, and she died 90 some odd years ago. Emily basically tells Anya that her fiance dies fighting in World War I and that her parents were brutally murdered in her home. And Emily was apparently running from her killer when she fell down into the well. Anya promises at this point to find Emily's killer, and Emily in turn agrees to help Anya fit in her school and win over her crush. But because of her friendship with Emily, she starts to drift away from her Irish best friend. And after a while, Emily becomes disinterested in finding out who killed her. And that's what I really enjoy about this story. It's not like opening a Batman comic where you're just going to have all this action and then it'll have to continue on into the next volume. This story's just one volume and it just flows together nicely in a way that I can keep up with it and I'm not distracted by something. It's just cover to cover, it's flawless in a way. Around this time, Emily's personality kind of does a 360 after she basically insists that Anya dress out of her comfort zone in like a slutty outfit. and attend a party with her crush and his girlfriend. And at this party, Anya discovers that her crush cheats on his girlfriend with her consent. And in her confusion and anger, she leaves the party, and in doing so makes Emily angry, and basically because she believed that Anya and her crush were destined for each other. And that's at that point Anya notices that Emily is becoming more controlling. Emily even changes her own appearance by straightening her hair and smoking ghost cigarettes. In the third act, which is around page 129 to page 221, Anya leaves the finger bone at home, which in a sense traps Emily at her home so she can do some research at the library. She goes and researches the killer, and the only way she finds out this information is with the help of the other Russian in her school, who she basically tries to avoid because he's nerdy and has trouble fitting in. She figures out that Emily had no fiance and had in fact murdered a young couple in their home after the man rejected her. She died running from the authorities. And Anya immediately returns home, where she finds the finger bone missing. And when she confronts Emily, when she confronts Emily with the truth, Anya discovers that Emily is basically capable of moving solid objects, which at that point implies that she put the finger bone in Anya's bag. Emily threatens Anya's family. She even goes as far as pushing Anya's mother down the stairs. Anya retrieves the bone from her brother, who had taken it from her room earlier, and heads to the well with Emily pursuing her. This is where the biggest character development in the story takes place, because when Anya confronts Emily, she basically admits to her own insecurities about her Russian heritage and trying to fit in when she should just go ahead and just be herself. She tells Emily, "Are you kidding me? Now that I know what you are, I wouldn't wish you on my enemies." And Emily goes to say, "Oh right, suddenly you care so much about other people. You're the most selfish person I've ever met. If your Irish best friend is so important to you, why haven't you called her in 2 weeks? And you love your precious family so much that you lie about your last name. You're no saint, Anya. You're just like me." Emily basically says that Anya is just like her. There's no changing it. She's really just like her. And Emily then tries to push Anya into the well, and when she fails, Anya drops the bone back in the well. Emily then possesses her own skeleton and climbs out to give further chase. Anya at that point stops and tries to convince Emily. She says, I know I said before I wasn't like you. It's not true. I'm enough like you to know how you feel. Wanting how others look, what they have, who they have." In a sense, Emily's admitting, hey, I wish I could be like other people because I don't feel like I fit in enough. I'm not normal. She says everyone else's life seems so much easier, where when she looks at her, she's from another country, so she feels out of place in a sense. But she tells Emily, but that's all you know, what you want. You don't know what's going on inside anyone else's head. In a sense, you can't really begin to understand other people unless you walk a mile in their shoes, unless you understand what they're going through. You can't, really. Only they can. Anya goes on to say, that girl you killed, how do you know she wasn't more messed up than you? Or that boy? I know it sounds stupid, but you can't know. You can't judge them. No one has the right to decide who gets to live or die. Not even you. She basically tells Emily, hey, you didn't have the right to judge them just because the boy canoodled with another girl and not you. You can't judge him for that. You can't judge her. You should have just let it go and be yourself. You didn't need to kill someone because you felt insecure about yourself. She tells Emily, look at you. You're barely standing. Why don't you go? What you want doesn't even exist. And at that point, Emily fades away and I guess moves on. But I really like how Anya, at the end, just convinces her school to fill the well. And then at that point, she rekindles her friendship with her best friend. It all flows together nicely. It ends good. It doesn't leave me hanging. I don't really want more. It just makes me feel complete. She still feels in the well, even though Emily tried to manipulate her into living the life she wanted to live. But instead, Anya decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to live my life how I want to live it. I'm not going to care what other people think, because at that point, at the very end, she even accepts her own last name. She lets the principal call her by that. So at that point, she's basically said, hey, why try to be someone else when I can only be me? And it really, the story just feels really good with the whole alienation. And at the end, she finally learns to accept herself and not try to be someone she's not, which I had a fun time relating to, because everybody's gone through high school and they know how hard it is to fit in. And that's why I love how this story ends with her just accepting who she is and not trying to be someone she's not. All in all, I think this graphic novel is really worth giving a read if you've not read it. It was fast, it flowed together good, and I was entertained, and I read it completely in one setting because it was so entertaining and kept my focus. And that's all I got to really say about this graphic novel. I just think it really is a masterpiece. It just makes me feel good to read something that an author finally said, hey, let's do a story about alienation and how it feels to be a teenage girl. And it really hit close to home for me, because I had trouble fitting in high school, and because I have two disabled parents, and other people, when they found that out, they kind of judged me for it. But then, and I tried to fit in with other people, and then really I did the same thing she did. I went through the whole course of trying to fit in with people that didn't really give a crap about myself. And at the end, I just realized it's not worth it. I'll just be myself.